Hey everyone, and welcome back to Don't Open That Door. I am Justin, the Deer Park water salesman.
I'm Nico, the king of Zora's domain, but I'm just like a regular guy. I'm not a fish.
And I'm Dan, the plumber.
And we are here today to discuss Dark Water from 2002, and it's a completely different Dark Water than the other one we covered a while back on the pod. This one is directed by Hideo Nakata, who you might know as the director of Ringu, starring Hitomi Kuroki as Yoshimi Matsubara, Ryo Kano as Ikuko Matsubara. We've got Mirei Oguchi as Mitsuko Kawai, and Fumio Kohinata as Ikuko's dad. So we open with Yoshimi Matsubara and her daughter Ikuko. Yoshimi is basically in the middle of this intense divorce, and she and her husband are fighting over custody of their daughter, who's like 5 years old. As part of the divorce, Yoshimi needs to find her own job and a place to stay. After a day of kind of house hunting, she finds a rundown apartment within her price range. The place does have its issues, which seem to include a definite like water leakage problem. But Yoshimi's desperate, so she takes the place as the custody battle rages on with her husband. So we got kind of the groundwork set there. Dan, what follows?
So strange things start to happen. Yoshimi notices her daughter picked up like a red bag from somewhere. And no matter how many times Yoshimi throws it away, it keeps just kind of mysteriously reappearing. Additionally, her roof mysteriously starts to leak. Hair appears in the water from her sink. And she sees this mysterious little girl kind of walking around in like a yellow raincoat. Yoshimi complains about the leaks to the management, but nothing is done about it. Also, at her daughter's school, Yoshimi notices a missing poster for a child named Mitsuko Kawai that had disappeared a year previously.
Okay. Still more plotting, still more things going on to build this intense plot. Nico, what follows?
There's the very exciting development of the divorce continuing. The divorce mediation heats up, and Yoshimi fails to pick up her daughter on time, and her daughter begins to act bizarrely at school around coinciding this time, and her husband then picks up their daughter, and they have a small confrontation on an overpass. At another hearing, Yoshimi loses control when she realizes that her husband sent someone to spy on her, but ends up meeting another lawyer who decides to help her. She ends up meeting another lawyer, to be clear, excuse me. And with this lawyer's aid, Yoshimi starts to put things together in her life, and the movie ends.
I don't think so. Dan, got something to say about that?
Yeah, it definitely doesn't end here. Things actually keep getting worse, unfortunately. Yoshimi notices the red bag yet again and has a vision that the girl who disappeared previously, Mitsuko, was a tenant of the building and had fallen into the water tank on top of the roof and drowned. While she's kind of trying to track down Mitsuko's ghost in the water tank, Mitsuko's ghost actually tries to drown Ikuko, the daughter. Yoshimi rushes down and grabs her daughter and runs into the elevator, only to realize that her real daughter is in the hallway and Mitsuko's ghost is actually in the elevator with Yoshimi.
Now, that sounds bad, but I'm sure it turns out well, Nico.
See, you say that. But, no. Realizing what she has to do, Yoshimi embraces Mitsuko and tells her that she will be her mother. And Ikuko watches on as her mother is consumed by quite literally just shit-colored water that overtakes the elevator. Kind of like that one scene from The Shining, except with blood. It's, just awful water. The movie skips ahead 10 years then, and we see Ikuko now in high school. She happens to wander by her old apartment. Wait, can you go from kindergarten to high school in 10 years? Is that really how it works? I guess it must
She
be.
was 5 to 15.
Oh, yeah, okay. No, that tracks. I'm an educator. The movie skips ahead to 10 years, and Ikuko is now in high school and not a time paradox. She happens to wander by her old apartment and heads inside and sees her mother, amazingly. She asks if she can stay with her, but then her mother insists that she can't, because we see the specter of Mitsuko looming behind Ikuko. Ikuko then leaves and realizes that her mother's spirit was looking out for her. This movie sounds wholesome as fuck.
It tries to end that way.
It does try to end that way. But I'm sure we'll break it down more. So to kick things off here, Nico, the visuals in this movie, I mean, the apartment complex they stay in is very it doesn't have a ton of organic features to it. It's very steel, very depressing. It makes you feel like you're trapped almost.
Yeah, it would be inaccurate to call it like a brutalist kind of structure, but I can't think of any other like architecture term that describes it. It's just very bleak looking, and that's something that I will say about the general aesthetic as well as just like the color palette of the film. It's very bleak, and it doesn't really look that great. I hate to say, like, there are times where we have a flashback to the past and there is this sort of yellowish, brownish sort of, not sepia because it looks more jaundiced than that, but kind of sepia sort of like overlay over everything, and it just looks unhealthy, which I guess is the point considering, you know, the title and just the nature of some kid dying in a water tank. But I feel like they could have done better with that to make it look just a little bit more appealing.
Dan, what are your takes on the visual?
I kind of agree with you, Nico. This movie came out in, 2002, I think?
Yeah.
It did.
It looks like it. It has that sort of aesthetic to it. Like you were saying, the apartment building is pretty run down. And it's interesting because I feel like her actual apartment, aside from all the leaking, wasn't all that run down, though. Like, it wasn't, like, nice, but it was okay. She's good at interior design, I think, because I think when she moved in, it was like, all right, it's kind of nice. But yeah, definitely all kind of faded almost throughout the whole. Jaundice colored sepia tone. I agree with that.
All right. And for the record, I also do agree with what you both have said. One thing that really stood out to me, though, is whenever she cooked, that food was like looked very healthy
bright.
and green and vibrant.
Yeah.
Like Yoshimi knows how to cook.
Yeah.
Like that broccoli was green.
It's like in the anime or video games when like they cook, like it's in like super ultra 12K.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 15, that just like ultra HD food.
Yeah. They turn the saturation up for just those scenes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I mean, that's certainly true. And we also have Ikuko, who is, to me, I know it's not really a visual thing, but she is kind of the only life in this movie. Like, she's super happy. I can do it. Like, I felt bad when bad things happened to her, but I also noticed that, like, whenever she, in the scenes where she is happy and having a good time, those are typically, like, brighter to show that even more. But other than that, it's, like, very bleak, very depressing, very dark. And, I mean, kind of going hand in hand with that, the audio, I thought this was another one where the audio, with certain exceptions to me, didn't really stand out so much. Dan, what did you think?
I agree. I thought it was fine. I don't think there's really anything wrong with it. I don't think there's anything stand out good about it either. I thought it was fine.
Nico, and what's your take?
It's entirely unremarkable, yeah. What I am curious about, though, is what do y'all think of the way that Mitsuko, like, how she looks with the sort of design of her ghastly, ghosty, shitty appearance at the end?
So I didn't really like it. I liked her like normal when we didn't like fully see her. For reference, at the end when Mitsuko is in the elevator with Yoshimi, we finally see Mitsuko for real, and she's all like, I don't know, rotting.
She looks like
sort
a
of,
dookie.
accurate, very accurate. And it looked like a fucking doll because she like hugs Yoshimi, and it looked like they literally just put like a doll in Yoshimi's like chest and was just like, here, have this doll hug you. And it was like, And then the doll is like choking her, but it just looks like it's massaging her.
It was not convincing at all.
That whole like 2 minutes was like really bad, to be honest.
Yeah, I really didn't know how I felt about that. I sincerely didn't know. I also, Nico, to your point, I thought her skin was almost kind of like a frog.
I can see that.
I kind of got like real amphibian vibes
Is it more
from
like a frog or a toad?
I feel like a toad.
Possibly like a salamander? No.
Or a sahagan?
Hey. Those who know will know.
Hey.
But I kind of want to change gears here because I don't think the technical aspects are where we're really going to talk a lot on this movie. But first off, and we have to address this up front, movie came out in 2002, but we still are here dealing with the plot of, a little child and like a haunting / possession type thing. I mean, keeping in mind that the movie came out in 2002, is that stale at all, do you think? Or do you think this movie approached that kind of trope in a new light?
That's a tough one because I feel like I almost can't separate myself from 2021 Dan in the movies that I've watched. I know, like you said, it came out in 2002. So, like, all the movies that came after it with that same kind of themes and tropes and stuff, it's hard for me to separate myself from having seen those. So, I felt like it was a little tired, especially given that Hideo Nakata has done that kind of stuff previously with Ringu.
But way fucking better.
Yes. It just kind of felt like a rehash to me of some of the same types of things. So, yeah, I thought I was a little tired.
And Nico, were you similarly drowsy or did you think differently?
So this movie, it was not hard to follow, but just it never felt like it really hooked me in. And I think I feel the same way as you, Dan, just with the delivery of all of the lines, as well as the sort of the nature of the predictability with all the tropes that we've mentioned thus far. It did feel kind of a little tired, almost ranging on like if they had done, instead of like a horror soundtrack, if they'd done something a little bit more wacky, I could easily see this turning into a B movie like that. You've already got a literal like shit monster who, instead of killing someone, it looks like she's just sensually massaging her neck for 2 minutes in an elevator.
I thought that was supposed to be like a hug.
Do you hug people by choking them?
Yeah.
Tune into our next episode where Justin...
So, you talked though on predictability, right? And that's a good point to bring up because, on the pod kind of before we came on, dear listeners, Nico had said that he could basically call this movie point for point. And I'm not going to front. I also called a lot that happened in this movie. Dan, how's your third eye? Were you able to call a bunch as well?
Yeah, me 3. I mean, it's just like 20 minutes before they discover that she drowned in the water tank. You're like, yeah, I bet she drowned in the water tank. And it's just like 15 or 20 minutes before anything happens. You're like, this is what happened. I know.
This is the one place she could have drowned.
Yep.
Now, Nico, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you think that this movie maybe suffered from, and the only thing I can relate this to is like a murder mystery type thing where it's a murder mystery, but like there's only one possible person who could have done it. It's like, it's not a mystery. You had to have done it. There's no one else.
Yeah.
And it's like, where else would she have drowned? Like,
Yeah.
there's nowhere else for her to have drowned.
It's a little bit like that. Also, with even besides the point of, Mitsuko drowning, just other plot points that happened. Like, of course, it's the girl's bag who drowned there. And of course, there's going to be some sort of like bad kind of water situation happening in the room above you. And why did it take you half the movie to check it out? Just like, I don't know, man. This is something that is a little bit strange to me because this is, I think, one of the few movies we've done on the pod where we've seen a director multiple times, and just seeing the depths to which Hideo Nakata succeeds and just flourishes in filmmaking in Ringu, and then comparing it to this, it's like a botched school project versus a master's thesis, and it's just really hard for me to reconcile those two.
It's interesting because, like, thinking about the same kind of thing in the same similar genre anyways is James Wan with like Insidious was like,
true.
We didn't really like Insidious very much, but The Conjuring 2, even Justin was like, fuck yeah, like it's a stark contrast between the two, and same thing between these movies.
I wonder if this maybe had something more to do with just, the general kind of fact that Nakata was coming off the success of Ringu, and maybe he wanted to put his own twist on something that I guess is a more, I hesitate to say traditional story, but something that would maybe have crossover
That's
appeal.
a sad tradition. You know the story of the kid drowning in the water tank?
Yeah. But I mean, I guess that type of story is kind of common.
Yeah.
One thing that I was kind of confused about too is I was a little like confused about Mitsuko, the spirit, because like she almost like befriends Ikuku.
Yeah.
They're like playing together, Or like, well, maybe not they're playing together, but there's one scene where Iku is in the tub and she's like playing with the spirit. And it seems like they're friends, but then they're not. And I don't know. I don't get it.
I almost feel like that's more the trope of, kind of the spirit befriends the kid. The kid's got an imaginary friend that no one believes is real.
Yeah.
And then it just happens. Ah, gotcha.
I mean, that's what I thought at first too, but doesn't usually when that happens, like the kid has some sort of connection with the spirit, like a little bit more than other people do?
Usually, yeah.
But like she didn't have any sort of connection, like at all. And in fact, it's the mom that has the visions of what happened to Mitsuko, and they didn't seem to go anywhere with that.
Yeah, Itsuko's her life just kind of unexplainably sucks for a little bit here.
Yeah.
So one thing that I think is important to note. So first off, I think those visions, I think Mitsuko was leaving the red bag for the mother on purpose. Because I think she wanted the mother to find out what happened. Because Mitsuko's mom left and she felt like she needed a mother. And this is actually the same thing we see, or something very similar to what we see in Ringu, where, Sadako wants a mom. Or at least that's what we're led to believe. So it's kind of interesting on that front. But I think she also maybe grew jealous of Ikuko and how she has a mother that takes care of her and loves her so much.
Yeah.
I think that's really what it boils down to. Kind of talking about that, Nico mentioned the ending. I mean, first off, how do you like the ending? You like it? You dislike it? Personally, I did not fucking like it. I thought that I said something similar in our Carrie review, but for all the hard work, man, that she put in, she being Yoshimi, I did not think she deserved to drown and die there at the end. I mean, it almost kind of, she fought so hard to keep her daughter and then, or rather, I guess, gain custody of her daughter full time, and then blow, just kidding, can't have it because you got to take care of a ghost. Like, listen, if I was going to die anyways, I would have just like fought the ghost, died. Like, I'm not sticking around though. I'm not going to take care of you for eternity. And I guess that kind of bleeds into the epilogue. So how'd you feel about the 10 years later, we come back and my mother was looking after me the whole time? Even though she really wasn't, because she commented on how big she'd gotten, so she had not been watching.
True.
Wait, yeah.
So Nico, thoughts on the epilogue?
So, like, tonally, the ending was my favorite part of the movie just because the other, like, 90% of the movie was, as we said, kind of predictable and just a little shoddy. Like, the transition was a nice point of reference, I thought. But it doesn't really hold up too well, particularly with what y'all just said with, like, I've been looking after you all along, even though this is the first time I've seen you in 10 years. Like, bruh, you're a shit guardian angel.
I mean, Dan, your thoughts on having to watch over Mitsuko for all eternity, it looks like.
Yeah, fuck that. I mean, the girl's like haunting you and trying to kill your daughter. Like, I wouldn't want to watch over you forever.
True. And I guess before we get too deep, there's something I did want to bring up as well that it's really been kind of clouding my thoughts since I watched this. So Yoshimi's like, yo, my ceiling is leaking. And she tells us like the apartment manager. And then the dude's like, I'll write that down.
He doesn't even write it down. We see him not write it down actively.
And then later on, she gets basically this lawyer that helps her. And the lawyer also just kind of generally helps her like straighten out her life. Now, I guess we're led to believe that he met her for the first time when she was like sobbing on the floor in the divorce mediation chambers or hall or whatever. And he's like, I got you. We're about to win this case. And I was like, where did you come from?
It's like a slice of life anime.
He just walked down the hallway and was like, I got you. And one of the very first things he did was he walks up to the building manager and he's like, yeah, look at this shit. Because the apartment upstairs was like covered in water. And also this entire apartment is like infested with mold probably, given like how much water is there. Come on, man. They should have tore that whole joint down from the start. Real talk.
Yeah.
Like black mold is no joke, guys.
It's not.
So, Dan, we kind of talked already about some of the similarities, at least, to The Ring. But I wanted to parse your mind for something else real quick. In both movies, we have a kind of a single mother. I mean, in this movie, Yoshimi is basically a single mom. And in The Ring, we also have another single mother. So in The Ring, the father there, he wasn't a scumbag. They were divorced, but he was pretty, pretty
he's
good.
a decent guy, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you say the same about the father in this movie?
I don't think so. I hesitate to call him like a scumbag just because in the context of the movie, I don't think he does anything like really bad. I mean, he does hire a lawyer to like kind of watch her, which is kind of weird and not really good. But other than that, like just based on the things that he does in the film, it's not all that bad. I mean, we're kind of led to believe that like previous to the film, he was a scumbag and maybe he is like in his life outside of this movie, but and I don't mean the actor, obviously. It's just like what he does outside of what we see him do. But I mean, he's definitely portrayed as sort of cold and calculating almost. And you can kind of tell that he doesn't really care too much about Yoshimi or really Ikuko. But I don't think he does anything like actually bad.
That lawyer's a real dickhead putting his cigarette out on the elevator buttons. Who does that?
Yeah.
Yeah. The one thing that got me about him, and this is just because like mental health is a really important thing to me. The thing that the father does in like one of the first proceedings is that he kind of weaponizes Yoshimi's mental health against her. By that,
Yeah.
I mean he mentions to the other sort of like mediators that she had gone in for counseling at some time, and that was sort of used to gain like a kind of leverage over
That is
her
true.
and mark her as weak. And I don't know if that's just representative of Japanese culture being more, well, I guess less inclusive and open about mental health, but it rubbed me the wrong way regardless.
Well, it's interesting because I was gonna say I was thinking about that too, and I was trying to think of, if that's kind of gets at like women, culture and
Also that.
things like that, and how easily it can be swayed against women or against maybe even people in general or people with mental illness. Or I haven't quite figured out if there's a particular target audience isn't the right word, but demographic, I guess,
Yeah.
for that. But it very easily, like he was just like, yeah, she went to counseling when she was a kid, and she's like, it was when I was a child. Like I'm a fully grown adult now. Like this shouldn't really matter. But like all of a sudden, everyone's kind of like, oh, well, she was in counseling, and like so many little things like that that don't really matter anymore became an issue. So yeah, I mean that definitely kind of built up for sure, and it sucks at how that can happen.
So, couple points there. First, I would hesitate to say that I don't know if it is necessarily a reflection on like the entirety of the culture, or more so like how, when you have a proceeding like that, like a divorce proceeding, every little thing is picked upon and people try and make a logical choice when a large portion of it is emotional. And I think that's one thing. Thing number two, so she had two cases. The one where she was a child, when she would like sleepwalk and like her parents got divorced and then she started to act a little bit strange, similar to her daughter. But the other one, what I think was like, she said before they got married, he knew about it because I think they were seeing each other or something. But she had been editing some novels or books and the content got to her. And
Oh,
so
right.
she had to seek counseling because of that. But I think as well, it's, and this is something that I almost feel like he felt he had to fight dirty.
Yeah.
Because
probably.
they said that, like, they say it like a couple different times, like 2 or 3 times in the movie, that she had the advantage in the divorce proceeding. And in the movie, we see that I think for the most part, he is shown to care for his daughter. Like when she's not there to pick up the daughter, he's immediately there. When she calls him, is like, where is she? He's like, I wouldn't joke around about that. What happened? Where is she?
Yeah.
So there is that. Although, I don't know. I think it does paint a very kind of like a stark picture of divorce, particularly for the child. because she's like 5 years old, kind of almost being forced to choose between her mom and her dad, because she obviously cares for her mom and loves her mom, but she doesn't seem to dislike her father.
Yeah.
And even when, when they're on that overpass and he's holding her hand, at first she doesn't let go. And he actually lets go of her.
Yeah.
When the mother, like grabs the stuff and starts acting out, he's like, no, like, okay, fine. Like,
true. But then right after that, she tells her mom, I would be okay with only seeing you.
See, she does, but it's very easy to color somebody's opinion when they're only with you, particularly a child.
True.
Like, she doesn't get to see her father. She only is with the mom.
True.
So I do think that's an interesting kind of little subplot that flows within this. And I was kind of let down when it basically just kind of ended. They were like, here are these papers. It's over. Like, congrats. She pretty much got the like Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, and this dude like handled everything. Cause like,
Kinda, yeah.
let's not forget, she like assaulted the dude in front of witnesses. And
Yeah.
he was just like, objection. Oh, there you go. So real quick, and Dan, I don't know if you want to talk about this or me. So we talk about kind of the manner of the death of Mitsuko, how she fell into like she was in like a water, what's it
Reservoir?
called? Damn it. It's
Tank.
like a tower? Tank.
Water tower.
And
yeah.
there was actually something way after this movie came out. Dan, you want to talk about it or me?
You can. I just know that it happened. I don't really remember
Yeah.
the specifics or anything, but
So this is actually kind of a crazy story. There was a woman, her name was Elisa Lam, and basically her body was found in a water tank on top of a hotel in Los Angeles.
Oof.
isn't there like no security footage of her going there or anything like that or something?
Basically what happened is there's security footage of her going into an elevator, and she's like looking like she's running from someone, and she's like mashing the button on the elevator to go up. And then there's no footage. There's no more footage. That's the only footage of her. They didn't know where she was. And then they found her body in like a water tank. Same way with Mitsuko. And I'm just sitting here like, fuck, man. Like, that's fucked up, bro.
She just really loved the movie.
Bro, no, like, seriously, like, that's fucked up. Like, imagine if you were like brushing your teeth with that water, or like taking a shower with that water.
For a second, I thought you were like, man, it's fucked up that she died. But then when you say that,
what I thought,
it's
too.
fucked up that she died in that way and affected other people. Like,
Well, it is.
I'm
It's like-
with you. I'm with you. But that's just not the most charitable way you could have gone with that, bud.
Well, no, I mean, like, it's fucked up that she died. She was really young. She was only
Yeah.
21, but it's like double fucked up because people like drank that shit, bro.
Yeah.
Nah, bro, I can't. I actually think they got complaints, and that's why they checked out the water tank. So,
Said this water
Fucking
tastes
wild.
like people.
Jesus Christ. So, I guess on that note, it's time to go to the what would you do?
A question mark?
So, I have a question. Let's say, and you know what? We're going to kind of cut out the whole divorce subchapter. Let's say you just got out of jail or prison or something like that. And they're like, look, you got to hold down a job.
This is already a very different movie.
Yeah, right.
Well, I'm trying to put it in a circumstance because I feel like I'm trying to put it in an equally tough circumstance. So, like, let's say you just got out of prison or something like that, and you got to hold down a job, right? And you got to hold down a location. So you find this spot. It looks kind of, honestly shabby, but you got to make do. So you post up here, and then after a couple days, you notice the ceiling is leaking water. What's your first step?
Talk to my fucking property manager, be like, yo, fix this.
And what if he's just like, I'll put it in the log?
Then I fucking stand there and watch him put it in the log. Be like, all right, I'm gonna follow up about this, you crotchety old fuck.
Dan, same thing?
Yeah, if he was like, I'll put in the log, I know I'm being brushed off, but I would let it slide once. Maybe he's going to call somebody. I don't fucking know.
Maybe he's just having a bad
But
day or something.
Day or two later, I'm going to check up on him and be like, yo, what'd you do? Look at this shit. This shit is bad. Come up to my apartment. Look at all this fucking leak. Nah, fuck you.
Would you bother checking the people upstairs?
Yeah.
I mean, Dan, I know you once upon a
done
time
that.
had a similar situation.
Yeah.
So now let's go ahead and take it to the spiritual side. Let's say you keep seeing this little red bag keep popping up around your place.
Burn
Would
it.
you leave? Stay? Nico?
I mean, I would just ignore the fucking bag.
Wait, even if it just kept showing up?
See, I have kind of a skewed perspective here because, like, given that I work as a teacher, I see people with the same fucking bags all the time. I honestly don't think I would pay any mind.
Nah. Like, there's a bag in your bedroom that you don't know how it got there. So you take it and you, like, throw it out. And then it's on your bed.
Okay, yeah, then I would probably call up Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Were they still active in the early 2000s?
I think they...
You'll make them active again.
yeah.
Come out of
Yo, I have a
retirement.
much lower stress scenario for y'all.
Like, y'all already fought off, like, Lucifer, everything? Like, nah.
Come get this one little girl in a poncho.
So, I guess, Dan, are you leaving at that point, or are you sticking around with the ghost bag?
I would stick around for just a little bit longer. But I think at one point in the movie, Yoshimi is like, nope, we're out. She's like packing her shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly when I would have been like, nope,
Yup.
we're out.
Yep.
And like, see, it's tough because I think if she did leave, the lawyer was like, we're going to lose this. Like, you have to stay here. But at that point, I might just say, fuck it. Like, you know what? If I'm going to lose custody of I mean, this is obviously like an impossible thing for me to, do in the moment, choose. But I would say, damn, like if I think that my daughter's life is in danger, shit, all right, my husband can take care of her. Like if that's what it's going to take to save her and me, then yeah.
So, I agree with you, and that actually brings up a good point. I feel like you could just, like, appeal later on down the road when, like, you're not living in Pirates of Dark Water apartments. Like, sincerely. Also, I just thought about this too. You are right. That Ikuko was actually in danger.
Yeah.
Like, she was really in danger. Yeah, I would have definitely left. I'd be like, look, we might lose the divorce, but it is what it is. Also, and I guess there was probably a plot reason why she couldn't do this, but she had a sister that came over and cooked dinner or, like, looked after her daughter one time.
Yeah.
She made her gruel. And I was like, yo, real talk, I would have posted up with my sister.
No, that was her aunt.
I thought the daughter was saying that was her aunt. Or was that her mother's aunt?
Either way, you would have posted up with family member X.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have posted up with family member X for real.
Yeah.
Now, kind of lastly, you're getting the visions about, Mitsuko drowning. I'd be like, check the pool, son, or check the tank.
Fucking straight up.
Like, we got to make sure of this shit. How often do you guys clean this?
Not for a fucking while, apparently.
I mean, Dan, how often do these things have to be cleaned?
Resident water.
Once every
Treatment.
6 months.
Well, he said he's the plumber.
I don't fucking know.
That's fair.
Meanwhile, this is why I'm going to take what the aunt did. And the aunt, they didn't say what
You're
she
just gonna
bought
make
to the
us a
house.
bunch of gruel.
No, but the aunt bought some deer park to the house. Like, real talk, she walked with her own deer park. You know this to be true.
Yeah.
Even the aunt immediately spotted out, like, I turned on the tap and hair came out. I may not want to use this water.
But here's this name brand Deer Park that is not going to do you wrong. Product placement.
There was a scene that they cut where the daughter's like, Auntie, this water's horrible. Takes out the deer park. Fresh, clean. Deer park. And I guess they just couldn't fit it in. But
God, I fucking wish.
And I guess last thing is, now let's say you're in the elevator trying to run away. You're like, I'm done. And Mitsuko's in there like, Daddy? Like trying to give you a hug. Nico, what do you do?
See, in the movie, Yoshimi is like overpowered by her, but I'm just built different.
Are you gonna unleash the Randy Orton punt?
I was just gonna say I would punt the little kid across the hallway and then take the fucking steps. They always take the goddamn elevator, and there's always some fuckery happening in the elevator. Just take the fucking steps.
Yeah, you would have been fine. 100% fine.
Maybe that's the motto I'm going to take from this movie. Two points to take. Point number one, always lawyer up. Whether you're, no matter what side you're on, lawyer up, okay?
Yeah.
Particularly in a divorce, or you're about to get fucked. Thing number two, take the steps. Because the ghost was not really fucking with the steps like that.
No.
Never.
Like, legs were too short to really get up and down effectively.
Trip over her poncho.
That whole
Straight
joint
up.
was a hazard.
Just like, hold your fucking arm out. Be like, nah. Just strong arm that shit. Like, you're not getting past me. Fuck out of here.
I kind of feel like this movie also, and I realize why they didn't do it, but there was like no one else in that apartment. No one lived there. At the start, there's two ladies who are on the bottom floor, but aside from them, there's no one in this apartment.
They had a cute dog, though.
They had a dog. I couldn't even see if it was cute. It was so gray. Bleak.
Yeah.
Looked like a bleakle.
Ah,
I damn
Bleak.
Justin.
So
That's the worst we've had. I'm
No, it's
proud
not.
of you.
So I guess real quick, before we kind of get to what the critics thought, I want to hear what you thought. So do you have a favorite scene from this movie? Something that really just kind of pulls your spirit?
No.
Wow. Jesus Christ, dude.
yeah, my favorite scene was the scene when Ikuko is in the school and she's playing hide and seek, and she hides beneath like some boxes or some shit, and then sort of like from looking through those boxes, like a crack in the boxes or whatever, she sees Mitsuko like walking towards her, but all we see is like her feet. And every time she steps, like a little bit of water kind of gushes out, and then she gets close to Ikuko and stops, and then there's just like a whole bunch of like water just kind of comes out. That was my favorite part. I actually really fucked with that scene.
All right. Okay. I got to say, my favorite part is when they're eating dinner, because that shit just looked really good.
Yeah, you know what? That's my favorite scene, too.
I'm over here gonna date this episode, I think, a little bit, but I'm fasting right now, and I was just like watching them fucking munch down some food, and like, this water is not good. Oh, like just kept eating the whole time, and I was like, jeez, fucking gluttons. I guess I shouldn't like throw or make any kind of like disparaging remarks, but I thought they were really about to be on the struggle bus, but like apparently not. They're having like a full course, like very nutritious meal, like. I guess they really had their, priorities in order. You know what I mean? Like Yoshimi was like, look, we're getting like all our vitamins, all our nutrients right here, right now.
Well, you see, Justin, that's why we have today's sponsor of Simply Fresh. With just one simple payment, you too can... Nah, I'm fucking with you. We don't have sponsors like that.
If only. We need to start off from like the lowest level sponsor. What's
Now
the
we have a
lowest level?
sponsor.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, we have fucking Ghost Be Gone or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
That's true. That's true. We got to hit up Ghost Be Gone. I heard they got some new products
Yeah.
coming down the pipe. But for right now, let's go ahead and take a look at the critic review for this movie. So here we go. Dark Water. We've gotten 80% from critics and a 66% from the audience. So kind of middling from the audience, a little bit on the high end from critics. So I'm going to ask you guys, first off, what were your general thoughts about the movie and what score would you give it? I think we need to start off with our expert in, I was going to say like plumbery, but the word is actually plumbing. So
The plumb expert.
Nico,
Ooh. Oh, okay. That took a turn.
is this like an easy pipe or does this one get out of control?
This one, it kind of gets out of control, but in a boring way. This movie never gripped me. It never really was able to get my attention and just suck me in. And it wasn't bad. I don't think I could call this like a crappy movie, because like there wasn't anything that was just obtusely just awful about it. So keeping that in mind, like it was okay. I'm giving it a 55.
See, I actually have very, very similar thoughts to you, Nico. Watching this the whole time, I was like, this is very decidedly average.
Yeah.
Like, This is very, very, very decidedly average. Maybe even a little bit less. Maybe even. I think the hour 41-minute runtime was somewhat a bit long. I felt like it could have maybe made it a little more snappy. This movie really lacked any kind of events to really grab me, capture my interest, hook me in. Everything Nico said, I agree with. It just wasn't really there for me. So, and I'm not going to compare and like make the score based on one or another, but how did this guy do do Ringu 2 years previously, which I mean, that was like genre defining almost.
Straight
and
up.
it set the tone for a lot of Japanese horror. And then we come to this, just maybe a couple years after, and it just seemed devoid of inspiration. I think the set design was good. I really appreciated the one scene where the apartment above Yoshimi's was covered in water and super leaking. I thought that was pretty cool, but I can't really save this one. I'm going to give it a 58. Dan?
Yeah, I 100,000% agree with everything you guys said. It's just painfully average. So I want to put it at a 50, an even 50, but I'm going to put it at a 48 because it loses 2 points for just being average. It's like, it's just, like I said, it's painfully average. It's just like, I don't know, it lost 2 points for that, for me. I don't know.
Well, this one's a collector's item where I've gone higher than the two of you.
Yeah.
I don't think that's happened since Housewife, but I mean,
Yeah.
let's go ahead now. And I think we really got to put our money where our mouth is. Is this one that you'd recommend to someone? I'll start with you, Nico.
I had such high hopes for this because I don't remember if we've talked about this on the pod or not, but when we reviewed Dark Waters, I thought we were going to be watching this movie instead, and I was excited then. But no, I can't. It's just too slow. I'm sorry, I can't recommend it.
Dan?
I don't think so. It's not bad, as we've all said, it's pretty average, but I just think there's a million other better movies out there that I would recommend first.
God. You know what? I rated this too high. This is a 50,
Wow.
and no, I wouldn't recommend it. Like, I'm sorry. I rated this too high. It's a 50. Sorry. Just
Happens
not
to
that
the
great.
Best of us.
So, yeah, any last thoughts before we close this tap?
No.
Normally I would have something, but no.
All right. Well, that's been it from us here at Don't Open That Door. Always remember, dear listeners, consult a plumber if you have any issues. Stay on your landlords and, just general maintenance people. If they don't fix your shit, you are entitled to compensation. So just, keep that in mind. And as always, don't open that door. And apparently not that pipe either. Bye.
Bro, what fucking pipe did they open?
Oh, shit. The sink pipe. What's a pipe?
That's a faucet.
It's a
Pipe goes in the wall.
Sink don't come out pipe?
That's the title of the episode.
I'm done.
Don't come out fine.